Hey there, this is Chris McDonald, and I've got Matt Avery with me. Today's Timer Tip Tuesday is going to be on RaceDay scoring data actions. So before we get going, there's probably going to be a handful of questions about data actions. There are a ton of different ways that you can use data actions. And Matt and I and the entire support team just wants to make sure that if you're using data actions, you understand that you can really change a lot of data very quickly, and you need to test and test and test and test before you start putting automatic data actions in process for a live event. So I'm going to say that a number of times, just because some of you have already played with data actions before, and some of you have, in a panic, contacted support saying, "I accidentally just changed every single person in our 5K, 10K to the 10K, and we have no 5K athletes anymore." And the reason behind that would have been because a data action was set up incorrectly, wasn't tested, and you just press play. So this is kind of an upper level an upper level, more advanced tool to use within RaceDay scoring. So as we go through this, just keep that in mind. Don't just turn around and say, "I'm going to make all these data actions. It's going to save me, tons of time," and think that there might not be repercussions if it's not set up exactly like you want it to be. So we're going to get started and just talk about data actions, talk about what data actions versus participant data checks are, how to set them up, and if we have time, which I'm not sure if we're going to, but we might have time to do some demos on it. So with that being said, getting started here, where do you get to data actions? So a lot of you guys have been doing RaceDay scoring for a while now. You've been using a lot of these tools. You maybe have skipped over some of the report builder tools, and then you've seen this lightning bolt at the bottom and not really know what it does, because when you click it, it doesn't have anything there for you. Well, when you go in to your data actions here, you hover over this data actions, and you have two different buttons here. So what are these data actions? And we're going to get into what those two buttons do. The data actions are a way to automatically update participant data in real time based on some action trigger. There's two functions. There's the automatic data actions. The pros of this is it auto runs once it's set up. It can run very quickly. The con to this, and I almost want to like highlight this in red and bold it, the con to this is also that it auto runs once it's set up. And if it's set up incorrectly, there's no data check to ensure you've set it up correctly and to make sure you're not like fouling up data. I'm not joking when I say this. Like, if you've got this set up incorrectly, you could move all people to the wrong event or something like that. It's a very common issue when things are set up incorrectly. Now, there's another thing that you can do called participant data checks, which personally I like a lot more. Why? Because it allows me, the timer, to choose what data is changed by your specific filters. And there's a really good chance that you can undo the data check in the same but opposite manner that you did the data check. So if you're moving everybody from, like, say, the 5K to the 10K using some data check, you can validate, you can see it and validate, like, okay, yes, that's what I want to do. And then you're like, oh crap, I did it wrong. You can run that same report and just push people the other way. The cons to this one are you have to remember to run the data check, so it's not going to happen automatically. And if it's a lot of data, it can be time consuming. So there's a time and a place for both of these. Once you get confident in your automatic data actions, using that is a helpful tool, but the participant data checks, in my opinion, are a lot better tool to use. So how do you set up these data actions? So setting up the automatic data actions, you're going to go into your data actions button and you're going to click add. So when you click add, you're going to have a pop-up that comes up. You're going to first define the type of thing that's causing the data action to trigger. So you can set this up, whether it be raw read, and you're going to edit, and you can put your filters in, and you're going to define the data that should be updated. So we're going to update the participant, and we're going to change the field. Well, in this example, the most normal example is you're going to use you're going to want to switch a participant's event, which is the data to change. So when we go in, we're going to say we're going to use a raw read. We're going to edit, and the participant data filter. When we go into the raw read filters, we're going to select the stream to use. So in this scenario, it might be like a check mat. And so we would add the raw read filter, and we would use the in operation instead of the equals to drive the action. And you could also use like a timestamp filter that if somebody reads in between like 8:05 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., that way if somebody goes on a pre-race run and warms up and hits that mat, it doesn't trigger the data action to force them into the wrong event. And then you're going to open the raw reads filter, and you're going to set up which stream you want to drive the event switches. So in this specific example, when we go in, we're going to say the stream name is equal to the check file. If you're doing a direct, like whatever your stream name would be the value here. And sorry, I've got this kind of, it moved down a little bit. There we go. So you've got your stream name, and the stream name is check file. So that's the one that we want to work. Next, in the data to change section, that section we just showed you, you're going to select the event, and you're going to, from the drop down, you're going to change the event to the 10K. So that means if they have a valid read in the check file, and maybe you want to add another raw read filter to, and the time is greater than 8:05 and less than 8:30, then we're going to change the field of event to 10K. So after saving this, all future reads will trigger in the event switches here. If you need to, you can recalculate the raw reads in order to process any existing data. So if you've already got data in there, you will need to recalculate. So that recalculate is on the home page or the dashboard of RaceDay scoring in that raw reads box and the little green recalculate button. If nobody's hit this check mat yet, then you can just save it. Any new people will automatically be moved into the 10K. Now, again, we've got our stream in there. We've named that stream, but then in this specific example picture, we do not have time filters in there. I strongly advise you to put some time filters in there so somebody warming up doesn't hit it and trigger it. Same goes for, keep in mind that they're not going to like hit it on the way back or something like that for the 5K. This needs to be a very clear cut, like this is only going to be hit if they're doing the 10K. So participant data checks. Instead of hitting add, you click participant data check here. Now, when you do that, similar to your adding new data actions, you have two things. You can either click to add a new check report, or you can click into previous reports that you might have already set up. Now, the difference here is these aren't automatically running. These are manually run data check reports. So if we want to set up a new one, what we're going to do is we're going to land into this field right here. We're going to type in the report name. We're going to select the fields that we want to display. we're going to add filters as necessary, such as, like, you could again do if the read at that check mat is not null, meaning they have a read at that check mat, and then you can select the field to a change and what you want to change. So you can then save this report, and then you have specific buttons down here that are actions to search, update the selected participants per this data change. You can check everyone, or you can uncheck everyone. So once you've got some things, like this is one that I was using, we had a pool swim triathlon, and we were worried that we saw some people had some negative P1 times, and we're like, how did that happen? Oh, maybe they didn't have a swim start. And so what we did was we ran this report that says swim chip start time of day is null, meaning that the chip start is 0, or there is no value there. And then the swim finish date is not null, meaning we got a read for this field, but we did not get a read for this field. And then we also looked at the scored event is equal to the individual triathlon. Now, in this specific scenario, I didn't want to change data. I just wanted a report of who fell into this category. And so I saved the data check report and I named it no start. So I could go back and run this report at any point throughout the sprint triathlon that was a pool swim to make sure I was getting reads at the start. The funny thing is, the first time I was testing this out, I ran it and I got a whole bunch of people. Well, I knew I didn't miss these people. I didn't have this scored event set, and I forgot I had a duathlon going on at the same time. And so the duathletes, they might have had a swim finish because they were going into the swim finish location, but they didn't have a swim start because they weren't in the pool area. So I then added this scored event field to individual triathlon, and then I got the right people. Once I updated them, I continued to hit search. And for this one, it's a good thing I have 0, because that means I have everything correct. The results will display at the bottom. So in this scenario, we did the check map. We said the check map, I wanted to look at who had hit the check finish time of day and is not null. And so any of these people should be in the 10K. So now I can go through and scroll through that all of my scored events are in the 10K, or I can say add filter and add a scored event is equal to 5K. And hopefully this value is 0, because all of those people should be in the 10K. So that is how it's not very hard to set these up, but just as a review, I strongly advise using participant data checks over data actions, unless you know 100% that your data actions are set up correctly. So you need to set up a fake event and put in fake data that would cause those data actions to run before you set up data actions in a live event. So please make sure that information is set up correctly before you just go bananas with the auto data checks. So, all right, I think we have a little bit of time, so I'm going to go into this test event. So if we click into data actions, before I get started, actually, Matt, are there any questions that we need to go over, since we do have a couple minutes?
No, we can go after the after your demo. That's fine. It's not too much.
Okay. So we go into the data actions. This one, we click straight in. So this event has a data action already set. So this raw read is editing the event to the 10K. So if we go in and look at this, we can see the raw read is set to edit. And you can put participant data filters in there as well. but the stream name is equal to check file. And if the stream name, so this means if someone has a stream name is check file, then you're going to edit the event to 10K. Now, we could do the same thing with a participant data check. And we go in, and this is how I set this up very similarly. The check mat, if they have a check finish date or time, it is not null. And if you wanted to, you could say you wanted to set their, let's see, where is event? I think I can, oop. I am missing event right now, but there it is. Event is to 5K. So if somebody's check finish is equal to 5K, so we can, and even right here, you can look down and see all of these people in this report. All of them should be set to 10K. Why? Because we have an auto data action going on. So if we were to do this and save the data check report, now we can search, we can add a filter and say registered event is equal to 5K. So now we have zero people, because the automatic data action is saying that everybody in the 5K they never hit this check mat. If they did, we could then automatically assign them to the 10K. I guess I could break this because it's local. So if we wanted to delete this, and I'm going to save this report. So I see 57 people in here. So let's check all. And this is going to break this thing because everybody's in the 10K. So we're going to update the selected participants. So now if we go in and look at all of the people, they're all in the 5K now. So anybody that hit that check mat is in the 5K. So you wouldn't want to do it that way, but that is an example of how you can push people into a race using those data check. So trying to keep these, again, as per request at the symposium, we're trying to keep these Timer Tip Tuesdays a little shorter, down to that 20-minute time frame, so we keep everybody engaged. So anything else that needs to get discussed?
Nothing else that needs to be brought up, I don't think. But it would be good if you could just talk a little bit about if you did have a bunch of event switches happen, how you could take a look at history of a data action. Like on the RunSignup has that participant transfer report. You might not have it on this race, but that's a really helpful one.
Yeah, I don't actually have one on the, let's see if I can find this race.
I'll just go to the tab at the top, the new automated event switch test at the top there, the green bar, the name of the race.
New automated event.
This is the name of the race there.
Oh.
And I think this is one that I have played with. So you should have some transfers.
So if you don't know where this is, you can always just go into this transfer, and you should have, let's see, I believe it's
towards the bottom, transfer report.
Is it the last one at the bottom?
Yeah, transfer.
Yep. This one. So you can see all of the event transfers. You can look at other things too, like race transfers, participant transfers, but all of your event transfers are going to be listed here. And again, we've got these automated, the automated one running for this example race. So everybody's continuously being pushed from the 5K to the 10K due to that auto data action right here. All right, well, there's no other questions. Again, like, I cannot stress enough. I'm sure Matt will back me up. I know Kevin Lai and Chris and everybody on the support team will want me to say it just over and over and over again, and that is, don't just go set these up and not test them. Create a test event, test them out to make sure it's happening the way you want to, and just double check that everything is as you want it before you put this into a live event. Because we've definitely had some people that went in, set up some, and everything was so close to being set up correctly. However, like one little thing was left out, and they transferred every single person from one event to another event, and had to do some crisis management on race morning to change people back. So we definitely want you to make sure you're testing this before just going out and using it. With that said, if there's nothing else, we appreciate you guys joining today, and look forward to having you next week. I believe next week we have, I want to say it is the check-in app, an overview of the check-in app and how it works, and that's for both race directors and timers. So that is on the 30th, and then we will be doing a how to use RunSignup's photo platform for timers on September 8th. So we have some pretty good Timer Tip Tuesdays, or actually those aren't even Timer Tip Tuesdays. Those are full on a little bit longer how to use these tools talks. So we look forward to chatting with you next week, and best of luck at this weekend's events. Take care.